You want glasses?
No. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yep. I have some issues on my end, but I can hear you.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
For heaven's sake, God. I need a towel.
Are we all set, Kirsten?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Welcome. Sunday fun day is underway. I'm gonna just do what I'm gonna do,
So she
sweetie.
can hear you.
I know. To get started today, we're gonna bring our feet the side of our feet to the side of the mat. We're gonna step our toes into the center line of the mat. We're gonna bring some straightness to the legs, and then we're gonna start to decompress the body. So I like you to kind of imagine you're kind of lifting up from your pubis all the way up to the base of the spine, middle and upper spine, and up and out through the head. If you can imagine, there's a string tied on to the base of your spine, that tailbone that pulls directly up through the spinal column, that lengthens each and every vertebrae. And as you work to create that sensation, I'd like you to bring your hands onto your hips, your thumbs aiming backwards and your fingers kind of overlapping the hip joint. Now, as you work to keep the legs nice and straight, let's draw the shoulders up to the ears, and then let's take your elbows and squeeze them back together. And if we feel the expansion through the chest, I'd like you to make a next level effort, and that's to pull the back of the head upwards and let the chin kind of just drop down a little bit. And then while we have all of that connection in elongation and what is really decompression working, I'd like you to draw your hips backwards, almost like there's a break point in the hips and nothing else is really bending or giving into it. We have tension through all of the muscle chain. Now, let's release the arms, sweep them forward, let the palms come to face. And as we work to pull back a little deeper, because now we have a little more weight in front of us, we can cantilever a little better. I'd like you to try to keep the knees nice and straight today. And right now for that matter. So let's take the legs and try to squeeze them together and get those inner thigh muscles active. Take a big breath in, and as you exhale, raise the arms. Hold on that position. Take another breath in, and as you release that, try to raise them ever so slightly higher. Now, hold here and give me a nice proud chest. And as you do that, let's make sure we're not throwing the tailbone back. I'd like you to really engage those six-pack muscles of yours as you push backwards with the hips. Keep the knees straight. Raise the arms a little higher. Take a big breath in. And as you exhale, let the upper body just fold down. Oh, where's my mic? All right, so in this folded position, I'd like you to extend to a flat back. Keep the legs straight. Draw the booty back. And then let the body kind of drift forward so you feel a little bit of pressure build in the front part of your feet. In fact, walk your hands forward to give you a little bit more of that bearing. Sorry, a little bit more of that weight bearing. Now, as you work to keep the knees nice and straight, I'd like you to pull the legs together and draw the hips backwards. As you inhale, extend to a flat back. Exhale, fold back down. And from the base of the spine through the middle and top, I'd like you to peel up away from the earth, raising up vertebrae by vertebrae. Let your shoulders kind of round forward. Come all the way up to a standing position, and then smoothly and deliberately and slowly open the palms all the way back. So the thumbs aim backwards. As you draw the arms backwards, let's put a bend in the elbow today. And then use that bend to draw back a little bit more and proud out through the chest. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, sweep the arms forward, keep the elbows bent. So we have a nice bend, kind of like a surgeon, before they walk in, they get the gloves on, that kind of bend in the elbow. Let's bring the forearms together and then open up all the way. And then flip the palms to face forward. As we draw the elbows back now, we're going to extend the arms up and into the sky. And we're going to come back down again, drawing the elbows back. And kind of, if you imagine a forearm, your forearm sliding up and down a wall. So it's the same kind of thing. We have a exterior rotation through the shoulders as the arms push up, and an exterior rotation through the shoulders as the arms or forearms kind of drag down that imaginary wall. Let's do it one more time, pushing it all the way up, all the way this time. Reach for the sky, and then as you inhale, extend the spine, hollow out the tummy, and as you exhale, let's draw the elbows back, forearms slide along that imaginary wall. As you bring the elbows into the side body, let's lower the hands, shoulder height, and then try to sweep open, kind of like a bird flying. We're going to just open and close ever so slightly. It's almost like a pulse, but it's a slow pulse. In and out. And then bring the hands together over heart. Push the hands to the sky. As you inhale, and as you exhale, lower the arms shoulder height. We've made a separation now, about shoulder width of the arms. We've separated widely the fingers. We're going to draw the butt back. We're not going to bend for the knees. We're going to keep them straight today, right now. Take a big breath in, reach for the sky. As you exhale, fold. Now, just to check in, making sure you still have the orientation of your toes pointing into the center line of the mat. We've stepped our feet so we have that inward rotation of the thighs. Keeping the legs relatively straight, keeping them absolutely straight if you can. Feel that little tension in the hamstrings. We're going to add to that by drifting the hips backwards. Now, float the fingertips. So we're going to take some weight bearing out of the arms, and we're just really floating fingertips above the earth, which means we have our upper body weight now adding into the tension in those handies. Draw back a little farther. Sweep the arms forward, keep them off the floor. Turn the palms to face. Raise the arms, raise them a little more. And then raise them a little more as you stand tall. And reach for the sky. Exhale, arms come down shoulder height. Flip the palms to face forward. Sweep the arms back a little more. Drop the elbows into the rib cage. Inward rotation of the arms. External rotation of the arms. In, out, and let's do that a couple more times. We're going to add progression to this series by folding halfway forward. Bring the palms together for halfway forward. Lift the hips back, make that spine nice and long, and then open and close the arms. So now we've added a little bit of gravity into our movement. It's not a lot because our arms typically don't weigh a lot, but it's just enough to add a little more overload into the muscles we're working right now. And then hold the arms up, stand tall, extend out, sweep to the sky, fold all the way forward, take it to the mat, step forward with the hands, backwards with the feet. We come into plank pose. Now, in our plank today, I'd like you to kind of let the chest drop in between the arms. And then I'd like you to take an imaginary string, tie it to the center of your spine, and pull it towards the sky. So your hips are kind of tucked under. You've engaged that six-pack of yours, that strong six-pack of yours. And the head's kind of like dropped off the horizontal because we've raised center or middle part of the back. Keep the tummy nice and engaged. Pull backwards with drive the heels backwards so that the legs feel a little more connection, a little more push. And come forward by pushing with the toes. And then drive the heels backwards. Pull your hips up and back to down dog and lengthen through your spine. Lengthen through your neck.
Let's take the elbows and try to spiral them down and inward. So we feel an external rotation effort through the shoulders. You kind of feel some smaller muscles right on the outside of the armpit. A little more engaged as you create that spiral. Keep the spine long. Drift back to your plank pose. Keep the elbows spiraling in towards the center. Make sure you're not locking out though. I want you to kind of keep a little break in the elbows, but continue to spiral them inwards. Let the chest kind of drop in between the arms. And then make the middle part of the back prominent by taking an imaginary string and pulling it to the sky. Now hold on this as you lower the knees towards the earth to hover. And then come back to a straight leg. And then do that a few more times, nice and slow. Down, up. Let's do that one more time. And come back up. And this time, lower all the way to the ground. Spread the knees nice and wide as you bring the ball of each big toe to the connection point in the center line of the body. Let your hips drift backwards. Let your fingers do the walking. Walk the hands forward more. Yes, an old Yellow Page reference. And grow the spine. Now let your forehead today rest on the mat. And then pick it up off the mat. And then let it rest. Give me a nice proud chest. And then lift the head. Notice the difference, subtle as it may be, in terms of what gets activated or how much activation. So let's lower, corral the chest, lift the head. Let's lower the forehead, corral the chest, lift the head. And then come back with the hand underneath shoulders. Step the feet out so we have everything kind of running in the lines on the side of the mat, hands, knees, feet. Let your head dangle, and then take that center pull of the spine and make it realize a little more if you can. You have a little more stability here, so you might be able to achieve a little better arc. Tuck your tailbone under, take a big breath. As you release it, let the chest kind of sink between the arms, and then take the tailbone and back of head and pull them to the sky. Let's make sure we've got our spine stabilized. So the stabilizer here and this flexion or extension, depending on which part of your spine we're talking about, that stabilization is coming from that six-pack muscle. I'd like you to engage it, and then we're going to add in a little bit of circumferal, like that word, stabilization, your transverse abdominis. So while we're pulling that belly button up and into the spine, I'd like you to make a little cough. And then listen to the cough, but also feel what muscles are working when you cough. Let's try it again. So those muscles, I'd like you to try to consciously make an effort to connect with them, hollowing out the belly and getting those cough muscles to as best you can. It takes practice to do it, so it may not be achieved to a level that's significant right now. But this is one of the things that helps to stabilize that low back, is that cough muscle, the transverse abdominis. Now, take the back of the head, raise it to the sky. Take the tailbone, tuck it under. Now we've got back into cow position as we lower the head. And then extend everything nice and straight. That's just a different way of saying, reverse what you just did. And then let's take the toes, if they're not presently tucked under, tuck them under, raise the knees. And then pull your hips up and back. And then step your feet forward. Inhale, extend to a flat back. Exhale, let the upper body fold. Take this opportunity to step your feet up to the sides of the mat. And then let's take the legs and rotate them so that the toes aim into the center line of the body. And now we've got that posterior orientation. Let's take the ball of each big toe and make sure it's connected to the mat. I'd like you to make the effort to push into those regions as you straighten the legs. And as you do that, I'd like you to try to pull the legs together like chopsticks. And as you do that, I'd like you to inhale and extend to a flat back. And as you do that, let's walk the palms onto your shins. And as you do that, make sure we sweep the elbows away from the back of the body towards the front. Push the palms, extend the spine, extend that neck, and squeeze those legs. And then while you squeeze the legs now, let the arms sweep out to the side, come all the way up to a standing position. Palms are now facing forward, lift them to the sky. Keep those legs squeezing together. Sweep the hands to the sky. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, half forward fold. Step the toes to face forward now. As you keep that spine in extension, draw the hips backwards. You might feel like the tension feels different than when we first started. That's fine. We need a lot of work to lengthen and strengthen those muscles. It should feel a little more operational, hopefully. Operational.
We don't operate.
Now, rotate the thumbs to the sky, stand tall, sweep the arms high, bring hands over heart, take the left foot, step it forward, right foot steps back. Let's drop that right heel down onto the mat and make the effort to push down. Hold down that heel. Nice. Now, take that front knee, pull it back of the left foot. So we have that left leg relatively straight. Take the ball of that big toe, left foot, turn it into the mat. Make sure it's touching. Keep the baby toe and its little ball connected also, but there's a pronounced push right into the big toe, the ball thereof. Now we have hands over heart, legs straight. We're going to fold in. As we push the heel of the right foot to the ground, lengthen the spine, fold in. Let's do a little more, find a little more depth with this. Explore it a little bit. Find out what can be achieved. See how far you can go. And then once you get to that point, you know it. You hit it. Because the point you hit it and go beyond it, you see compromise and you feel compression happening. I want you to avoid that point. I want you to find the edge of it without going into it. Now, keeping the spine nice and long, come back up. And then lower back down slowly. Keep everything connected. Keep that right heel driving. The ball of the big toe, left foot, nicely touching, but not losing the touch of the outside of the foot. Rising back up. And then we're going to add some arms into this, extending forward. Try to keep the arms elevated as you fold down. And then come back up. Keep the arms in the same position. It's almost like they're sliding in and sliding out. Sliding them out, keeping them at the same level. So the arms are really transitioning, just parallel to the earth as best you can. And then stand back out. Hold. Raise the thumbs a little higher. Keep those elbows from bending. Bring hands over heart. Step the back foot forward. You're welcome. Now push the hands to the sky. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bring hands back over heart. Take the left foot, step it back. I don't spend as much time setting up the separation of church and state, but similarly, it's the same thing. I want you to find stability left to right. So with that nice separation, take the left heel, drive it to the earth. Take the right leg, straighten it. Keeping hands over heart, keeping that spine nice and long. Let's begin our descent. Making sure we've got 3 points of connection in the front foot, making sure that the predominant force right now is rotated internally so that ball of the big toe is nice and connected, but we haven't rotated off the outside of the foot. I'm just talking as we go through our reps. That's all I'm doing. So you're still doing reps, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love it. You'll notice that there may be a little bit disparity between left side and right side. One you might have been better at than the other. We're working both sides equally though. As we rise up this time, let's bring the arms into play, extending forward, almost like you're sawing something. Saw blade reaches forward, saw blade comes back, almost horizontal. This is a little more problem on this side for me. Extending out, coming back up.
Couple more reps, nice and slow.
Why's your leg shaking?
My leg's shaking because this is a lot of work for it. Oh, bring hands over heart as you stand tall and step the back foot forward. Oh, I know, that was so much fun. Did you have as much fun as I did? Hopefully. Hands push to the sky as you inhale, extend. Exhale, lower the arms, shoulder height, palms are facing forward. Beautiful. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, use the fingers to pull the arms out of the socket. Like just let them pull as long, as far as you can. And with that, keep that extension. Keep the arms pulling out of sockets as you pull back both arms simultaneously. Let's take a couple breaths. Feel that nice lengthening. Now, sweeping the arms together and opening them back up, nice and slow. Let's do that a couple more times. And everyone meet, palms together. Bring the forearms together. So spiral the elbows down. It's okay if you put a little bend in those elbows of yours. Feel that nice release across the back. Take a big breath in. And as you exhale, keep the legs nice and straight. 3 points of connection. Keep them real. Keep the ball of each big toe of each foot connected to the mat. Don't let the outside spiral up. Now, keeping the elbows together, rotate to the right. Come back center. Rotate left. Hollow out your belly. As we make the rotation, keep it hollow. Left side to right side. Try to use the energy of the body properly as best you can in any event, making sure your hips aren't going side to side. The rotation is by muscle as opposed to by moving the joints of the hips. I want you to try to avoid rocking side to side. Nice. Now, come back center, bring hands over heart. Kirsten gives me that which basically means I'm done with this exercise, even though this is probably doing me a lot of good. Hands push to the sky. Inhale, extend. Exhale, fold all the way down. Have a seat.
I can do that.
Kirsten said, I think that was my favorite move today. Let's have a little water.
Cheers.
Where are my manners? Cheers. All right, so now that we've arrived on the floor, I'm going to bring our feet. I'm going to put my feet on the corner of the mat. It's not visible in the camera, but basically a little bit of an angle opening. It's a little less, more acute if you're into geometry, but less than 90 degrees. I have my feet flexed, so they're kind of pulling in towards the shins, and I got my hands on my kneecaps. I think that part's visible. Now, there's C-curving the spine, and then there's externally rotating the shoulders, and then pulling up into a nice elongated spine. And you'll notice that probably, and hopefully, in the pelvic girdle is when you go to C-curve, you go from being on your tailbone to when you extend, kind of rolling over a couple of pieces of flesh, and you kind of feel more of a sturdier connection. If you've got that, that's perfect. That's the issue, making a nice solid connection with your mat. And then we're going to extend. And you've ever watched a start to a swim race, you know, when they do the backstroke and they dive in backwards? It's kind of what we're trying to emulate. We're trying to get a nice spinal extension. If your neck is compressing, I want you not to over stress this. I just want you to find activation of muscle and avoid compression. Compression is one of the worst things that happens to the body as we age. So now let the spine C-curve and then come back to extension. And then C-curve. And then extension. Hold on that, let the hands release, bring them forward, and then bring them together. Just make like a little cupping action where the fingertips now touch. Give me an expansion across the fingertips. Keep them nice and wide as you extend the elbows straight. Push the fingertips together, and then one vertebrae at a time, C-curve the spine and come down. Arms are extended long, all the way down. And then let those arms sweep all the way up above the head. And then try to extend the arms, keeping that globe realized. Arms go straight. Flatten out the shoulder blades as best you can. They won't go flat, but I want you to give an effort to get that external rotation. And then bring the arms back up over your chest and come all the way back up. One vertebrae at a time. And extend the arms straight out. Let's bring straightness to the legs. We're coming into more of a traditional staff type pose, getting nice and tall through that spinal column. Take the elbows, rotate them internally, and then keep the arms cupped. Keep the fingers cupped. And then let the elbows rotate externally. Draw that sphere into the body. Extend the sphere out. Rotate the elbows down. Rotate them up. Sphere comes in. Sphere extends out. Rotate down. Rotate up. Pull it in. Extend it out. Rotate down and hold. Separate those fingers nice and wide. Get that spine nice and tall. C-curve the spine, come back down. Extend the arms all the way back. Keep those fingertips connected. Reach long, fingertips connected. Reach long, bring those arms back up, and then let the fingertips disconnect and let the arms fall beside the body. You're going to step left foot and right foot in ever so slightly. Again, we're kind of coming into this with a different type of perspective today. Now, the low back, I'd like you to kind of take your pelvic girdle and tuck up. So your pubis is actually pulling up and in towards the belly button. And if you do so, if you're effective at that, and this is a learned process, if you're effective at it, if you've learned this, you will feel the skin of the low back kind of connect to your mat. I want that connection, and we're going to help to stabilize it by hollowing out your tummy. So this is an active, muscular, active event here. We're making the six-pack function as the transverse abdominis, that stabilizer of the spine, also functions simultaneously. So we have kind of that belly button and belly band, if you will, pulling in the stomach. Now, we're going to add a little bit to this by crunching up a little bit. So we're going to take the shoulder blades up and off the earth. We're going to hold on that as we rotate the thighs in to touch each other, and the big toes, they can touch, you can bring them together. Now you continue to hollow out the tummy. We'll continue to raise up the upper body. We're going to squeeze the thighs and squeeze them hard. Now, adding into this, I want you to take your heels and push them into the mat and try to lift your butt up off the mat. Oh, this is a big, big thing going on. And then relax everything down. Extend the legs all the way out. Take a few breaths. There's a lot of muscle in action there. If you got a little bit, then that was fine. That was perfect. We're going to do this one more time. It's a very intense exercise. If you're getting and connecting to it, sometimes it takes a number of times to kind of get it all as effective as possible. Nonetheless, back at it we go. I'm going to start it back up again, finding that low back connection, creating the
Bend in the legs.
The bend in the legs is already there, I hope, because we've already started back into this. We're going to now crunch up, and we got that six-pack muscle active. We have the transverse abdominis active because we're hollowing out that tummy of ours. We rotate the thighs and the toes, and we're going to squeeze the thighs. And then now comes the real fun part, trying to lift the butt up off the earth. I want you to push hard with the heels and keep that crunch nice and active. 5, give me 3 more, give me 2, try to get a little higher, and then let it all go and extend it all out.
How I can do all that and talk at the same time, I don't know. All right, nice and long, fingers and toes pulling from the center. Take a big inhale. As you exhale, bring the arms up over the chest, and then Pilates style, peel it up. Oh my goodness, you can tell you work muscles when they don't look as pretty doing the motion as they would when they were nice and fresh. Let's dive it down. And let's get some nice extension along the spinal column. Aiming the toes up at the sky. Give me some foot flexion. You know what that is? It's simply just pulling the top part of the foot closer to the shin. Might feel a little bit more significant pull up and into the knee. Let's come up to a seated position. And we're going to work some of the lower leg muscles, and stretching them out. So as we come up to a seated position, we're prone, we're a little forward in this. Now, if you've gone into spinal flexion, do yourself a favor and extend the spine today and try to feel decompressed. This is not something that creates more tension in the body, all but for the area we want it, which is really in the hamstrings and the lower legs. I'd like you to grab a hold of the toes. I'd like you to pull in foot. So we're kind of just creating more length along that lower leg muscle system. Give me a little more. And then relax. Come up to a seated position. Staff meeting, a staff pose. Back to that old chestnut again. Keep you nice and tall. Upper body wise, bring hands over heart. I'm going to stay here for a couple seconds. Enjoy life. There we go. Got my mic back on my shirt. So I'm going to bring hands over heart. Exactly. Do as I say, not as I do. Right. All right. Now keep nice and tall. Beautiful. Now we're going to bring some strength training to our hip flexors by leaning back. And now, if you remember last week, we worked on some very specific exercises for hip flexors and the AD adductors. We're going to work on some of that again. So with this lean back position, I like to make sure you're not compressing. So if you are, just back off a little bit where you've got control, stabilization without compression. And if you've got that spot now, take the right leg, lift it up off the earth, and then switch it for the left. And then alternate side to side. For me, I find that sometimes when I do this, I start to cramp, which I'm just starting to right now. And try to work through it. It's not that the muscle will tear unless it's really a severe type of cramp. The movement will help it kind of lengthen and extend. Now, put both feet down, and we're going to stretch out what we just worked by lying down. And as that angle through the hip opens up, the muscle has to lengthen out. That's how it works. So we have a little bit of stretch going on. I'd like you to pull toes and fingers opposite direction, point the toes, reach with the fingers, inhale. And then as you exhale, let's step the feet in towards your butts. I'd like you to rotate pelvically, which means I'd like you to take your low back and get it connected to the earth. So you're basically pulling pubis into belly button. And then with that, we're going to keep that as we bring the feet just slightly wider than hip width apart. So I'd like you to flatten out your shoulder blades. And then we're going to work our backside. So as we peel up, we've done the peel up of our upper body. You know, when we do Pilates style sit-ups, we peel vertebrae by vertebrae, head to the base of the spine. We're going to do this in reverse. We're going to take the tailbone and start to peel it up off the earth, right through to the center part of the spine. The hips are rising. The spine is peeling bone by bone all the way up. So we are bridging, and we have that nice activation we created in our gluteals to do that. And as the gluteals fire and expand and contract, our hip flexors have to expand. So this is kind of like an active working stretch for them. And then from the head, through the shoulders, through the center part of the spine, all the way out the tummy as we come on back down, lower and imprint every vertebrae of the spine until you can get that tailbone back connected to the earth. And those muscles you feel released once you have a nice relaxation were primarily your gluteals. So let's try it again. Let's tuck under, pulling pubis to belly button, peeling one at a time, slowly rising. If you can, try to keep the load posterior, which means I want you to be on your heels more than on the front part of your feet. So if you need to step out a little bit to get more weight bearing in the heels, please do so. Rise up. Now, in our effort to go just a little higher, a lot of times we start to compensate. So I'd like you to be mindful not to do that, but give me the muscle activation as best you can into the gluteals. Now we're going to add a little dimension to this by taking the legs and squeezing them together. Mine won't go, yours might, doesn't matter. I'd like you to create that internal rotational effort, keeping that nice and active now. One vertebrae at a time, lower the hips back down. Keep the legs squeezing together and reverse this, squeeze together, peel one at a time, all the way up. Squeeze the thighs and then lower back down. Nice. Extend the legs almost all the way out. Separate them hip width apart. So now we're adding a bit of succession to this. With that slight bend in the knees and that hip width separation, rotate the thighs into touch, bring the toes together, flex the feet, squeeze the thighs. Keep the thighs squeezing as you lower the arms beside the body, cupping the fingers, pushing the arm into the mat as you create roundness through the chest. Keep the squeeze of the thighs, please. I use the magic word. Now, push the heels into the mat, squeeze the thighs harder. Try to push to create elevation or lift, if you will, of the tailbone up off the mat. Work it, hold it, don't compress anywhere else. Just use the muscles of the body. That's all we're asking. Keep everything else decompressed. Lower back down, extend the legs out as you separate them. Bring the hands above the head. From the center to the extremes, pull. From the extremes, lengthen to the center. Take a big breath in, exhale it. Let everything just kind of relax. Now, come up to a seated position and back into our staff pose. Nice. Done. How do we do it? We're going to take our front leg, we're going to bend it 90 degrees, and we're going to take my left leg, I said front leg, left leg 90, and I'm going to sweep the right leg back and come into our 90-90 pose. So, all you have to do, you don't have to be good at geometry here. If you know what 90 degrees is, you just want to get in both knee joints. So my right knee comes almost straight out from the body. My left knee's forward. I have a slight lean to the left. You might be able to realize the more upright position. Whatever it is that's best for you, I'd like you to kind of keep nice and long and then fold forward over that front leg. I use my hands to assist the movement. Let's walk it back in. Keep the spine nice and long. Kirsten wants to stay there and enjoy it. If you feel the same, you can do it too. So as we come up to a seated position, take a big breath in, keep the spine in extension, fold back down. Walk the arms out, let it all hang out. Take it for a second or two. And then let's begin to arise. We walk back in, up to the seated position. Let's hold here, and we're going to add a little bit of dimension here.
external rotation of the back leg. So using the right foot, the ball and the heel as hinge points, I like you to try to raise that right knee up off the earth and then lower it back down, and then do that a couple more times. And then lower the leg, lower the upper body. Yeah, we're putting up the foot. That's for a different story. And then on the next breath, walk it back up. We're going to go to the opposite side and just basically flip over. It's as simple as that. Oops. I use my arms to support. Oops. Same setup, opposite side, fold it back down. Walk the hands out. It's hard to think, sort of holding the microphone and doing it at the same time. Let's walk the hands back in. Rise it back up. And then fold back down. Stand all the way up. And then rise back up. Let's hold on this hinge point. Let's use it as we raise the left leg and lower. Raise and lower. And raise it and lower it. And then fold back down. As you walk the hands back in, sweep the legs all the way around, the face back forward on the mat. That's what I have to do, but you may not have to. You're already in the right spot. Nice. Now, we're going to bring the legs nice and straight. Going to aim the toes up at the sky. We're going to bring our thighs together. And then we're going to do some external rotation of the feet. So using the heels, pull them together, open up feet. Extend the legs straight so you have just the bones of the upper leg are actually going to be rotating. So we want to keep the legs straight, open up the feet, kind of like a penguin would, and then roll them back together and then open back up. Extend the heels out. We're pushing hard with the heels. We're keeping the upper body nice and tall. We're kind of pulling the thighs together and then rotate back up and then extend the heels back out. Push with the heels, pull with the legs, kind of like chopsticks. And then let the toes aim up at the sky. Step the feet in. Let's take the hands, reach them forward, and let the upper body kind of dive in between for that nice spinal column release. Let the head just hang out. Use your legs, hug your body, squeeze them together. Hollow out your belly. The belly hollowing out as you bring the spine to extension. And extend the legs back out. Let's bring your hands up over heart. And then roll down one vertebrae at a time. We have one little stretch to do, and then we're all done for the day. Let's take the left foot and plant it on the earth with your heel a few inches off your rear end. Figure 4. That's what we're going into. It's the final 4 for basketball. This is a little bit, basketball fun and bad basketball humor. We're going to use our hands to wrap the thigh and pull in the leg in honor of our basketball playing people. Or anyone that's got a bracket that is still in, because a lot of people have been disappointed. Let's lower the foot, switch the sides, wrap the hamstrings and pull it back in. So you lower the legs this time, extend them all the way out. We're coming back up Pilates style, bring the arms up and over, drop the chin, peel up vertebrae by vertebrae. Oh, those abs, we got work today. Dive it down, take a breath for a second. And on the next inhale, rise back up. Let's bring your hands over heart and let me thank you for your great work today. Awesome job, everybody. Thanks for showing up.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Oh. There we go.